weird. No big deal. Welcome to another edition of the Around the NFL broadcast, presented by Bose. I'm Dan Hansis. I got heroes with me, Mark Sessler, Greg Rosenthal. We're all in boxes. We're all together. And, boys, it is the pound for pound, the best weekend of football we'll get all year.
That's what they say. I believe it, especially this week. I feel like all 8 of these teams can actually win the Super Bowl with not – you can't say that every year. I don't know if you remember the Jared Goff Rams a year ago. They weren't going anywhere.
I mean, I will announce that the one reason I've come here to do the show with you is upstairs in our cafeteria, they have these free pizza slices. If you Venn diagram my interest, it starts there and then it branches out to these games. It does seem like a good weekend, but let's be real about why we're present here in my case.
It is. The free pizza here is an outlier because you're famously a fooditarian, Mark. But your love of the pizza here, that's legit.
It's true love.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the slate coming up this weekend. Divisional round football. Yes. Not a dog to be found. In fact, you can make a case for any of these teams to win the Super Bowl, Greg. Make a case.
I just said that like 1 minute ago. The Bengals would probably be the biggest stretch, but they got the hottest quarterback, the hottest wide receiver. It's an offense-first league. They could all do it. Why not? I think
any of these teams can win the Super Bowl. And speaking of the Bengals, let's get into the first game. Bengals at Titans, the #1 seed Titans coming off their bye. Let's start with the Bengals here, though, because they are, boys, 60 minutes away, and a victory, of course, from being the biggest story in sports in this country. People are going to have Bengals fever all around the country and the world. It's an international game, after all. Boys, do you feel it? Do you sense that that's where this could be heading? Because this is a fun team to root for.
We've done our best to try to pump them up. We have a connection, of course. We celebrated Westivus a year ago. I'm not sure if the country is really getting on board with Bengals fever. Are they? They keep sticking him in the Saturday afternoon game. I think Joe Burrow has to go out and do it again, as you mentioned. And at that point, then you start having the conversation, is he the next great one? And he'll be matched up against another great one in the AFC Championship. But, man, he's going to have to overcome a lot in terms of the Titans' defensive line and play his very best game this week to get there.
I'm with you. I mean, the Titans' defensive line has wreaked havoc on playoff quarterbacks. Mahomes, Allen, Stafford have been sacked a total of 12 times by this line. I'm a little concerned about the Bengals line holding up for Joe Burrow. I would just say this. If you're Cincinnati, ride free or die. Just unleash all your weapons and do all you can and hope that you can victimize the Tennessee secondary. What happened last week was possessions were cut short, turning to field goals. You got to finish drives.
If you look at the stats, a light went on for Zach Taylor and this coaching staff. They gave Joe Burrow the offense and said, it's yours now. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to put the ball in your hands. We're going to put the game in your hands. And so far, he's rewarded with them by turning the Bengals into the biggest, most exciting offense in the league. Now, will that continue against Tennessee? Will we continue to view the Tennessee Titans as a team that doesn't get enough respect? That's a fair point.
That's how you beat the Titans, is you throw. They're not going to be able to run on them.
All right, so let's tee up the Titans. And the curious case of Derek Lamar Henry Jr. Now,
middle name there.
There you go. That just adds the gravitas of the talking point. Derek Henry should be back in the lineup for the Titans on Saturday. He will be, you imagine, a centerpiece, or will he? I'm really interested to see how this breaks down. Henry is obviously the guy that makes the offense special. They fell off a cliff after he went out, and they lost some wide receivers on offense. Now you're mostly healthy on offense with Henry at the front, but I'm curious, Mark, how much workload we could see from the great number 22.
Yeah, I think it's a great TBD. And the thing is, if he's out there on the field, you have to account for him. It changes the way the defense is going to think. There's no Larry Ogunjobi for the Bengals. Mike Daniels is out. Their defensive line's a little thin. The Bengals have allowed 100-plus yards on the ground in 5 of their last 6 games. But you also have Donta Foreman, too. It's like they've been able to run really well without Derrick Henry, but I think if he's on the field, you have to just change the way the defense thinks. And so even if he operates as a semi-decoy and you don't get the full experience, I still think it's a way that you can totally penetrate Cincinnati's defense.
Yeah, the NFL Network had some great video of Derrick Henry at practice. He's moving around well enough for me. I could see it with my own scouting eyes. Like, he's moving fast, he's dancing. I'm just saying, like, he's going to be fine. And the Titans play to their strengths. They're not a team that is going to go away from what they do well. They are a great run-blocking offensive line. And the Bengals, even before these injuries, never substitute. They're one of those old-school teams that just keep the guys that they have out there basically every snap. So keep an eye in the fourth quarter of this game of that Bengals defensive line wearing down. It's a tough matchup if that's what's going to be happening.
That's from Greg the Scout.
I am a scout. You know, he looked good to me. That's all I need to see.
He does have a metal plate in his foot now. He has not played in 2.5 months. And here's the thing, though. This speaks to the greatness of Henry. He missed 9 games, the last 9 games of the year. He still almost ran for 1,000 yards. He finished with 937. He's that type of star. Now we have to pick the game. And I think, to me, it comes down to, can the Tennessee Titans score enough points? Because I know the Bengals are going to score at least 3 touchdowns here, maybe a couple Evan McPherson field goals. And you know what? I think they will. I think Tennessee finds a way here by the narrowest of margins, 28-27. Heartbreak in Cincinnati. How about you, Greg?
I feel like a turncoat here because I have the Titans as well. Games are won up front. I think they're better up front on offense. I think they're better up front on defense. I think their coaching staff is better. And I can just imagine Joe Burrow, because he's a big fan of this show, watching it in the morning. He loves getting up early and just being like, these guys don't know what they're in for. I'm going to drop a hammer on them. They're fools.
He's like, I watch live. I don't DVR. I watch live. That's
right.
The Joe Burrow style.
It's the highest on his priority list. Well, I think Joe Burrow might like what I have to say. I know I fall into the media guy not respecting the Titans enough with this pick, but I'm going Cincinnati Magic. This is coming from a Browns fan. I'm into the Bengals in this game. 23-20. I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle. No disrespect to the Titans, but the Bengals Magic train keeps rolling.
Wow. Yeah, I like, because in this new setup where we're like stuck in boxes, we're just watching Mark make his pick, and his eyes are just boring a hole through me. He's not boring, but it's just the intensity in which he made that Bengals pick. It has me wavering about whether I'm right.
I'll come after you, Greg, if I need to.
All right. Well, I would like to see that. We can have some type of battle royale by the end of the segment or the episode. All right. Coming up, Niners, Packers. Oh, my goodness. The number 1 seeds roll on. Could the Green Bay Packers be one and done in the playoffs? That would be crazy, right? We'll find out next on the broadcast.
Garoppolo back. Garoppolo time. Throws. Caught by Jawan Jennings. Touchdown! San Francisco!
Rodgers under center. And he backpedals, looks, pump fakes, now lost. Lazard adjusts. Leaping grab in the end zone. Touchdown, Green Bay!
special today, huh? Be you. This is where we gonna put this away. This is where we gonna put it in the box right now.
Hand off to Debo, coming to the right, gets a block from Brunskill, a cut back by Debo. Debo 10, Debo 5, touchdown! 49ers now have a 23-7 lead.
That was huge. That was huge.
14 seconds left at the Niner 41.
Here we go. It's a design run for Dak Prescott.
To the 25 and slides. 9, 8, 7.
They got to get up and clock the ball. 5, 4, 3, 2. Dak will he get it off in time? With 1 second to go, did he spike the ball in time or not?
The umpire's got to spot the ball.
Yeah, but he ran into Prescott when he was trying to get the snap to clock it.
Game is over. The 49ers have won.
I didn't know what was happening. That was the most stressful I've been a part of. I don't even know what to think.
I don't even know what to think. That is, all Cowboys fans feel that way right now. Welcome back to ATN, presented by Bose. It's the divisional round playoff preview. And yes, the 49ers and Packers are the Saturday night game. Why don't we get going? Breaking down that beauty. Greg, get us going.
Yeah, when I watch that 49ers clip and this team in general, it just starts feeling a lot like 2019 with my man Deebo Samuel coming in strong in the playoffs, but especially with the pass rush. This was a group back in 2019 that didn't need to send any extra rushers to get pressure, and they have dominated two of the best offensive lines in the league in back-to-back weeks. I think they can do it again against a Packers group that's better up front, that's healthier, but hasn't played a meaningful game in a while. Then you flip it to the running game that San Francisco has. They've run the ball 61% of the time in Jimmy G playoff games. Here's how you avoid the big Jimmy G mistake in a big-time game. You don't let him throw. You just run it the whole time, and that matches up really well against the Packers.
All right, I see what you're saying. Can we hide our quarterback and beat the best team in the NFL? Perhaps this is a San Francisco team that's built to do just that. I think you make a good point. If you want to get behind in the Niners of this game, you look at how they can dominate up front, and you look at the Packers, who much has been made about the offensive line getting healthy now just in time. But there's also the possibility of some rust here. Maybe they haven't played as much together as you would have hoped. Obviously, a lot of missed time, including David Bakhtiari on the left side. Are the Niners able to take advantage of that sizzler?
Well, I think they certainly can. And I go back to Greg's point on the run game. I mean, there's no team in the league doing what the Niners do on the ground. The Packers are 28th in DVOA defending the run. And, I mean, that plays out in some of these games. I was like, oh, it's scary. It's going to be 4 degrees. A team from San Francisco can't thrive. Give me a break. They were built for this. They are dominant on the ground. And I think they're going to find a way to live in this game. And it's not just hiding Jimmy G. Yes, he had 25 turnover-worthy plays, 6 most amongst quarterbacks. You worry about the big Jimmy G mistake. But I really think this is a Shanahan spot right here to go and do something to Green Bay that I think is dangerous for the Packers. Because I think this is the wrong
pick segment.
This is the wrong.
You guys have both already
wrong type of matchup. It's the wrong type of matchup for the Packers.
Your wife's a big 49ers fan.
She is.
How's she feeling? She feeling confident?
I think she's riding with this. She feels good. I mean, I haven't asked her, but I'm assuming that.
All right, well, I don't even know if we have to continue talking about this game because it feels like such a blowout for the Niners. But, Greg, how about we talk Packers?
Yeah, it is silly. I mean, look, the Packers are favored by 6, so we don't. I'm not saying they're not. But I'm saying Aaron Rodgers has a lot to overcome. This is what I'm trying to say: is he was the MVP this year. He's going to win that award. I think he's going to have to play his very best because he has things working against him. No Valdez-Scantling is a downer. I don't think he's going to have a lot of possessions in this game because when we talked about the Packers' run defense and their defense in general, which has been below average for half a season, I think they're going to struggle to get off the field. So it's less possessions, it's a great pass rush, and it's no MVS. You add those three things together, he can overcome it all. He's so much better than Jimmy G, but I think you're going to have to get the very best of Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, you brought up no Marquise Valdez-Scantling twice there.
That maybe was a stretch.
And also, I mean, Allen Lazard has stepped up and become a really good number 2 wide receiver. Devontae Adams is an absolute stud. I love the Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon backfield. This team, maybe they don't have a lot of possessions, Greg, but they are going to score on almost every possession. You might see their punter twice in this game if the Niners are lucky. And I just think we're sleeping on a little bit truly how great Aaron Rodgers has been over the close of this season, and he's been dominant on a historic level. So why do we think that he can't continue that now?
I think it's a little bit of, we just haven't seen the Packers in a while. Even in Week 18, they only played the first half, but they're not dominating teams in the last month plus. I mean, it's been close games. I say Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to hide him, obviously. Hasn't had a turnover since like mid-November. You expect him to be perfect, and so the Niners are going to have to be perfect along with him. And I think that's your worry for San Francisco, that one gaffe, two gaffes, this thing could be over. I mean, Green Bay's ground game, I'm with you, Dan. That changes everything in this kind of weather, in this kind of situation. So I'm not just trying to tilt it all towards the Niners. I just think that we've maybe forgotten about Green Bay a little bit because they've been out of our midst.
My point is, though, that the teams, you look at the 1 seed and one's a 6 seed. If you take out the quarterbacks, it's not like the Packers have a better team. I just don't buy it. Like, I actually think, like, roster-wise talent, how they're playing right now, it's not like it's an uneven matchup. That's it.
You guys are nuts. I respect the Niners. I obviously, they're a very good team, and they're peaking at the right time. But this is the Packers' year, and because of that, I have them winning by, let's say, 36-27. It's not a blowout, but they take care of business.
I gave my pick away. I mean, if I'm going to feel that good about the 49ers +6, I might as well go all the way. Like I said, all the reasons in terms of their offensive line, defensive line, but when they came out of the locker room last week and they had that boombox playing Kodak Black and they're walking down the aisle, I was like, they're not losing this game. This man is named Debo. I mean, they gave him that name, and he has lived up to that name. And when they put on that boombox, I'm saying, like, we're going to be maybe covering a Super Bowl with that boombox coming out. That's it. That's the deciding.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we're not Phil, Coach, and Boomer, as they were showing at the bottom of the screen there. We're Dan, Mark, and Greg. I am with you. Greg and I picked the Niners before the season to win the Super Bowl. I went off that pick in the midseason because I have no guts half the time. But I'm taking the Niners in this one, 28-26 in an ultra classic. This is going to be San Francisco's day. Hear me now.
By the way, it's different. You can take that boombox into Jero World, and the team with no heart shows up and gets beat, lays out the red carpet for you. It's going to be different at Lambeau. I don't even know if the boombox will work at Lambeau Field. Those D batteries, those Duracells, it's not going to work.
Tough sitch.
Maybe get a Bose. A Bose would work. Nailed it. Pay me. All right, let's go. Let's move on. We have another great showdown coming up between the Rams and Bucks. So the defending champs are looking now to get back to the NFC title game. Can they? Are the Rams going to put up the fight in a big spot? We're going to learn a lot about Sean McVay's team up next on the broadcast.
Stafford looking left, throwing left, the fade to OBJ, airborne with a two-handed grab. Touchdown, LA!
Brady looks toward the end zone, throws, caught ball, Evans, he's got a Tampa Bay touchdown, and the Bucs put the dagger in the heart of the Eagles.
Never doubt with the weather, bro. We got connections.
Heck yeah. I love it. I'll take this.
What you say, alien? Come on.
Sitting in Ray J with my boys.
Yeah. Make you finish play. Love you, alien.
Go Bucks, yeah, we about to get the noise.
Hey. Let's be greedy. Don't give them nothing.
Hit from behind, flips it forward. It is intercepted.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hey, great defense, but you can make a play, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, relaxing. Let's go.
And the Bucks put the dagger in the heart of the Eagles.
Hey, you had a
saw
vote.
the blitz zero back there. I was like, there's no one back there.
Oh, no, you're perfect. Perfect read.
That Super Bowl trophy, you have to buy that, or is everybody getting one?
Yeah, I had it made. I am so hard. People lay out on the ground like this.
So if you win one, you don't get a trophy?
No. You get the ring.
Hell of a year. So beautiful. Let's go. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to ATN presented by Bose. Wait, who's the dude asking Von Miller, does everyone get a Lombardi trophy?
I think it was Cooper Kupp.
No, that was some special teamer who does not
I was barely looking at it.
does not know how football works, but I like that. I like the idea that everyone gets a Lombardi.
I do
give
like
me one.
Von Miller was cool about that. You know, sometimes somebody asks you a question and it's kind of like you just learned a lot about that guy and how much he knows.
Right.
And he was nice about it. He
He also a little getting ahead of themselves, beating up on the Cardinals
that's
in
a
the
good
wild card
point,
route,
too.
asking that question.
All right, so the Rams, here they are now. Take care of business against an overmatched Cardinals team that was fugazi. Now you get the Buccaneers, the defending champions. Let's start it out right now, Mark, on those Los Angeles Rams.
I'm just excited that I misidentified a player on national television. Now that's a great way to start the segment. I will ask you
Didn't even
this.
look like Cooper Kupp at all, by the way.
Well, I had it out of one part of my eye. I will ask this: nice Rams or naughty Rams? Which team shows up? I mean, I think at this point, do we trust the Rams to be what they were last week, or is there a chance that you get the Rams that were dominated and raised a lot of questions by the Titans, by the Niners? They also beat this Bucs team. I look at what happened last week, which essentially was cold case Inglewood just laying a thumping on the Cardinals, and I kind of wonder if they've crossed the threshold because of Von Miller, because of OBJ, because these guys, these pieces they added, seem to fit in now, and overall the team just seems to have found itself. Matthew Stafford looks comfortable. So which version shows up, Greg or Dan?
Wait, I'm curious, do we want the nice or naughty version?
Right, I was going to ask
which one is the good
Well, I think the nice would be what they would comply by the rules and wishes of their fan base and thrive. The naughty one, naughty LA,
I think
would
they should
maybe
be naughty. I think nice is
fair.
the version of the Rams that beats up on all these bum teams and wipes out the Cardinals who didn't even want to be there on Monday
I should essentially
night.
just leave the television show at this point. I mean, it's just.
That's Cooper Kupp, by the way.
I
Marcus,
understand.
you know,
number
he's
10. Look, that was a botched
Offensive
wide
player of the
receiver.
year.
Yeah. The naughty
job.
Rams, they need the naughty Rams to show up in Tampa because I would really like to see this Rams team go toe-to-toe with a contender. Every time we saw it for most of the season, they wilted. What happens against the Bucs on the road here? I just don't feel too hot about it, Greg.
I'm not worried about a bad version of the Rams showing up. Not at all. That team's gone. It wasn't even there in Week 18. A good 49ers team came from behind. They could lose this game against the Buccaneers, but I think this defense travels. When you have that five-pack of Greg Gaines, A'Shaun Robinson, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd on the field, which is most snaps. Like, they are beasts. And you have Jalen Ramsey matching up against Mike Evans. This is going to be a tough game. They could play well and lose. The Bucs are that good, but they are going to show up.
Studs all over that field, no doubt. How about the other side, Mark?
Well, the Bucs. You know, I know we've said, like, they're so banged up, and will they be victimized by it at some point? I mean, Cyril Johnson at wide receiver is hurt. Rashad Perriman's banged up. You could have Scotty Miller and Mike Evans leading your wide receiver crew along with Tyler Johnson, who seemed to frustrate Tom Brady a week ago. But I also think that Tom Brady could win games throwing passes to Dan, Greg, and Mark. I just kind of trust Brady to do it. But is there a tipping point where too many guys are not functional, and this offense against a great secondary, a great Rams pass rush, it hits the wall?
All right, let me break this down. Dan, I'm kind of like the late period Jason Witten. I can still move the chains,
Okay.
and I have a good set of hands, so give it to me in the red zone.
Much better
make a
hair,
play.
though. Let's give you credit for that.
Well, it depends which hair you're talking about for Witten, real or synthetic. Greg is, he's the crafty white slot receiver, of course. And then Mark, you're like the
Cooper Kupp.
you're the special teams glue guy.
Yeah.
that
I'm not even starting on
a couple
offense.
injuries happen, you come into the lineup and you have a big touchdown.
Well, that's how you dictate that
You're that
concept.
year where the Patriots are playing a bunch of injured guys. Yeah, it's like Matthew Slater and Rashae Caldwell, and they go to the AFC Championship.
But you guys are about 16 and 8 feet away from me. During the commercial break, I'm going to come teach you a lesson.
Let's talk this game. I'm with you, Mark. Is there any reason anyone should doubt Tom Brady on this stage? He's playing so well, Greg, and I know they're not 100%. I know the offensive line is an issue. But are we really going to say they're going to no-show in a game with Brady at quarterback?
Of course not. But I think Mark's point is right about the receivers. Look, he's still got Mike Evans and Gronk. He's had less talented players around him. He can trust those two. That's enough. The other guys have stepped up. It's the offensive line. And yes, Tristan Wirfs and Ryan Jensen were back at practice. It's a game-time decision. You expect them to be out there. But are they going to be their good versions of themselves? Because they did not play well a week ago, especially the interior line. The guards who were healthy against the Eagles struggled, and that's where the Rams can win. And if you're going to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs, you're going to just beat him by getting a ton of pressure, and he has no choice but to lose.
That's the old story. You get the Tom Brady by putting pressure up front.
I mean, that's true of every single quarterback.
Every quarterback. But there is a scenario here as we figure out and pick this game here, where Aaron Donald goes absolutely nuts and has the playoff game of his career, and that's how we'll remember it, and it ruins Tom Brady's season. However, I'm just not doing it. I can't turn away from Brady. I know what he's capable of. We've seen it too many times. I got the Bucs 34. Rams 24. How about you, Greg?
I think these are two of the best 5 teams in the NFL. I just think the Bucs have the wrong injuries at the wrong time, and that this Rams defense is primed, playing really well under Raheem Morris, and McVay can cook up enough of the outside zone runs, which have worked pretty well against Tampa, and enough offense to win a defensive game. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than people expect.
By the way, it is under Raheem Morris, is the defense younger?
I mean, Jalen Ramsey said he's the best coach that he's ever had, and he's had some good ones.
If you're a real football fan, you get that joke. How about you, Mark?
I'm struggling to doubt Tom Brady. I think the Rams, though, are going to show up and put up a big fight. I have the Bucs winning 27-24 in an overtime thriller. One of these games got to go to overtime. This will be the one.
That's what Tom Brady does.
They don't have
overtime wins in the playoffs.
By the way, how embarrassing is it for you, Greg, that 2 of us picked the Bucs and you picked the Rams?
That's embarrassing.
Why, how is that embarrassing?
Well,
because I'm a Tom Brady fan. It's okay as a sports fan to like both. I'd be happy for either one. That's
Public humiliation. All right, let's go. Come on. Oh, we're on TV? All right, let's hit the Bills and Chiefs. This is what it's all about, boys. This is the best game of the divisional round, right, Greg?
It's the best game of the season.
Oh, I like it.
It's the game I've been waiting for all year.
That's a sell, baby. Best game of the year. We're talking it next.
Y'all feel that in the house? You don't feel it? Come a little closer. Hey, it's all about it coming to fruition. All that work gonna come into fruition.
Nice shot. Hey, how about that? Did you give him the business?
go, baby. Chiefs on 3, 1, 2, 3.
The whole world watching.
Josh going to keep it himself and run it again inside the 5. Touchdown, Buffalo! Off the hands, intercepted by Micah Hyde at the 10. Touchdown, Buffalo!
Play for the guy beside you. Play for this stadium. Play for everybody.
Step up, firing down the near side. Kelsey at the 20. 15 to the 10. Touchdown!
Let's go get it done.
Now he's pressured, gets away from it, fires one into the end zone, and it is caught. How did he make that happen? Near side, Pringle over the shoulder with the catch. Touchdown, Buffalo, again.
Oh, they smell blood.
Now they're going to throw it long. The Chiefs want Tyreek Hill over the shoulder. Touchdown! And Mahomes is on fire.
Welcome back to the broadcast presented by Bose. Oh, yeah, this is it. Game of the year, Bills, Chiefs. Mark, how you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. I'm about 20 feet away from you, enjoying what's coming up on Sunday.
Hey, buddy. All right, let's get into it. We'll start with the Bills. And absolute unbelievable performance, obviously, against the Patriots in the wild card round. So I ask you this. How does a true auteur follow up a masterpiece? Is there an idea here, Mark, that the Bills were so good on Saturday night at Orchard Park that there's going to be a little bit of a come down? Or, to follow the auteur thread, is this Coppola's Godfather Part 2 coming up next in the divisional round?
I like this. I mean, a true auteur does not really stumble or make mistakes. He just continues to unfurl masterpieces. And I think the version that we saw of Josh Allen last week can continue. I like the idea of that happening against the Chiefs defense that has not been pristine the last month or so. And really, there's so much more balance in this offense right now. It's Josh Allen on the ground, but it's also the idea that Devin Singletary has looked awesome for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. This offensive line is dominant. So if you get away from the Josh Allen mistakes that we've seen in the past, if he does that again, I love the idea of them putting up 30+ on this team.
So who's the auteur? Is it Josh Allen? Is it Sean McDermott? Is it the whole team?
It's a collective in this case. I know that it's not apples to apples.
Yeah, because I don't think the defense, which has the stats of a #1 defense, is going to be the difference in this game. I think they're more solid, and maybe they don't give up big plays. It's about Josh Allen and this offense. And Mark talked about the running game. Devin Singletary does not come off the field at this point because he's so valuable in what he does in terms of pass protection, in terms of catching pass, in terms of running. I love that, and I love the way Allen's playing. Like an auteur, it's like the last few years, the Bills have been, in their early portion, like making some nice indie flicks. But now it's the masterpiece. It's like they're taking everything that they have, that they've learned over the last few years, and they're ready for the moment.
I like that. So would last week be like Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs?
Right.
And then this week is Pulp Fiction?
I'm thinking more like 2020 is the Reservoir Dogs, and 2021 is Pulp Fiction all the way through to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Where does Jackie Brown fit in?
Well, that's next season.
Right.
Quietly,
like an underrated, fun.
That is an underrated movie, by the way. So next season, a lot of thrills coming for the Bills also.
Love Jackie Brown. All right, let's get to the other side of the ball and the Chiefs. And yes, we're talking about the dominance of that offense. A man they call Spags is AFC's Mr. Destiny, because I know what the Chiefs on offense are going to do. I trust them, even though there's been some potholes along the way. I think they're going to score about 4 touchdowns. They're going to score 30 to 35 points. Spags, and Greg, I know you've had a love-hate relationship with this man throughout the years. Can he cook something up and find ways to limit what the Bills do? Because way back in Week 5, he had no answers for Buffalo. Do you think he learned anything from that and can slow them down enough to swing this game?
Well, he learned to bench Daniel Sorensen, which was a huge factor in losing that game. And they played well for the most part down the stretch. But the last month or so, some of that man coverage has been exposed. And I think it's difficult. They want to play man so that they can do all those blitzes and fun stuff up front. And yet, playing that against Josh Allen is dangerous because Josh Allen is not afraid to put his foot in the dirt right when he gets to the back of his drop and just go as a runner. And so there's no perfect way to beat this Bills team, but I think the way Spags plays with it, which is highly risky, man coverage, lots of blitzes, is even riskier against this team in Josh Allen.
And you got to find a way to dominate this Bills offensive line, which has been pristine for weeks and weeks in a row. They really have found the right combination. I mean, for me, it's like you can look at certain games this season where Josh Allen was the polar opposite of last week against New England. There have been mistakes. He's had some games that have been mystifying. If you can go duplicate what even the Jacksonville Jaguars did to Josh Allen, which is a tall order, that game came out of bizarro land. I mean, a couple Josh Allen turnovers flip this game because you trust the Chiefs to just keep scoring.
Allen trusts his abilities so much that he will give you a chance to make plays on the defensive side of the ball. I think they need to watch also, and I'm sure Spags has, as defensive coordinator, how do we not let Josh Allen kill us with his legs? Because once he opens up the game with those scrambles, it becomes... It's candy from a baby. Who takes candy from a baby?
I mean, mean people, essentially.
I
think
do.
that's
I
what
mean, you shouldn't let your baby be eating candy.
Not hard candy.
You know, it's like, it's terrible for them.
Okay, well, that's a fair point. All right, let's pick the game now. Now, maybe this is, I'm just trying to project this, speak it into existence, but I know this is going to be an absolute classic, and I see the Bills pulling it out, 41-38, in a game that goes obviously right down to the wire. Tyler Bass, one of the better kickers, gets it done.
Yeah, I like the Bills, too. I like it going over the number, even more than that. And I just think that in man coverage, like I talked about, Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox, some of the secondary receivers like Emmanuel Sanders will have the chance to step up, and I think they will. I think the Bills are ready for this moment, and they're just a little more consistent on defense, and maybe that makes a difference.
All right, Mark, give us some cover. Let's make sure we have the Chiefs picked at least.
Well, I wish I could help you. I get concerned when everyone in the media says, oh, this is going to be the game of the century. There's like 82 games of the century in one season. 37-20 Buffalo. I just think that they were built. They were built to beat the Chiefs. Maybe they were initially built to beat New England, but the Chiefs are the target now, and I think this is going to be the crescendoing moment for Buffalo and their fans.
I don't know if you just heard the crossover in our ears there, but it said meme alert from our friend Matt Money Smith. That's a game day view around the NFL crossover. We're getting memed with this. Like,
I don't understand anything you just said.
Chiefs fans are going to be sending this in sometime Sunday afternoon when they're not happy.
Well, that's fine.
All right, well, it is what it is. It's going to be a classic, though, and it's a coin flip game. And anybody that tells you they know what's going to happen in this game, they're lying.
Well, that's not of me.
We call that a la Raville Magnifico.
Mark goes with a 17-point spread.
All right, let's move on. And guess what? It's time to listen up. It's time. We got some Julio Jones talk coming up, and we're going to give you some little inside tidbits on the games this week that maybe you don't even realize on the broadcast.
You're not very bright, frankly.
Ouch. Welcome back to the broadcast presented by Bose. Now, the name of the show is Around the NFL, so why don't we go around the NFL? Let's hit some news. What's going on in the league this week? Let's start with the Giants. You thought the Giants would never come up in a divisional round playoff TV special, but they do come up because they have hired a new general manager, former Bills assistant GM Joe Shane. Is the new GM. Yeah, nailed it. Hey, look at the spelling. It's different than the pronunciation. Get it right or pay the price, Greg.
It is striking to me that the Giants have been in such a downward spiral for years. And it's like, okay, who can possibly save us? What organization knows what they're doing? It's the Bills. So maybe all those Bills fans that say they're the only New York team, they're right now at least.
Well, I would also say this could hint at Brian Daboll or maybe a Leslie Frazier coming with Shane to New York, because you want to bring the guys that you know and trust.
And it's also, and yeah, we can't speak to have too much knowledge of Joe Shane at this point. We'll learn a lot more about him in the coming months and years. But it does also speak to the Bills and the urgency to take care of business right here and now, because you're going to start losing a lot of pieces, whether it's from the roster or from your front office. The Giants desperately need someone in that building that knows what they're doing, because it's been too long. Let's move on to the Raiders, who are reportedly interested in Jim Harbaugh. You know, Mark, these Jim Harbaugh rumors now become a rite of passage at the start of every offseason. He's been at Michigan for several years now. But, of course, younger football fans may not be aware. He had a really, really dominant run with the 49ers and feels like he's a guy that can still play the guitar if he gets the job.
Yeah, this is kind of John Gruden part 2 for me, because Al Davis and Jim Harbaugh were very close. Jim Harbaugh said that Al Davis changed his life. And John Madden in 2016 said that he believed, based on what he knew, that Jim Harbaugh one day would lead the Raiders. And I really think that Mark Davis is, continually trying to honor the tradition of the Raiders, his own dad. And Harbaugh, to me, feels like one of those big Mark Davis targets. So we'll see.
So they've started interviewing candidates for GM and coach. Harbaugh hasn't been mentioned. Here's what I'm confident in, that Jim Harbaugh wants to be the Raiders head coach, because this has been floated out there for weeks, well before the Raiders season ended. It's been in the ether enough. You know how these things work. Harbaugh, it sounds like, is looking to get out, or at least likes this job.
And the Raiders, like Mark said, love the big fish. Would not surprise me at all. Let's head over to the Steelers, where a report from The Athletic has that all signs point to Mason Rudolph as the starting quarterback of the team in 2022. You also have Dwayne Haskins, first-round draft bust, on that roster. Mark, do you buy into this at all? I understand the rookie class isn't supposed to be so hot, and the free agent trade market for veteran quarterbacks doesn't have a big-time name, but would they really go with Rudolph?
I don't buy it at all. Typically, the Steelers, in their history, don't do what the Browns, Bengals, and Ravens wish them to do, which would be put Mason Rudolph under center for a season and just have them float in the wind.
Well, here, it's not all signs. I'm going against this report, because Mike Tomlin said at his press conference how much he would love to have an athletic quarterback. Like, what a difference that makes to have at the quarterback position. That's not what you think of when you think of Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins, for that matter. I think they're going to go get someone else.
There is something to be said. You don't want to give away a year of a prime for some of your great guys like T.J. Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick, et cetera, et cetera. But having a down year that gives you a great draft pick next year, maybe in the long term, it'd be better for the Steelers. Mason Rudolph would help with a bad record. All right, let's move on now. Time for Listen Up, presented by Bose. Greg, get us going.
All right, listen up, you nincompoops out
Excuse
there.
me.
Like, I hear a lot of Titans-Bengals conversation. I don't hear a lot of talk about Julio Jones, and there should be talk, because that Week 18 performance, yes. Here's what I'm saying. They went to him early in that game. When he made plays after the catch, he looked like Julio Jones. He hasn't looked that way all season. And I do think that's instructive, that he was 100% moving well, right when it matters, going into this playoff matchup. And you know who he's going to be matched up against all week? Eli Apple. That is a mismatch they can go after.
Can you promise me, Greg, that Julio Jones won't be limping off the field at the end of the first quarter?
I can't promise you anything. It's like Kyle Shanahan said. I can't even promise you I'll be there for that game. You know, I hope.
All right,
I am.
because I feel like that is well within the range of outcomes, and I hope that's not the case for Julio, but he's really struggled to stay healthy. Mark, how about you, bud?
I'm going with this. Ayuk to author Magic in Lambeau. I don't know if you're watching this from a one-bedroom apartment in Jamaica, Queens, or maybe you're in some bar room in northern Iowa. I don't care where you are. I want you to hear this right now, you wandering floozies. Brandon Ayuk is going to do something really special in this game that we talk about for years. We talk about Deebo Samuel, George Kittle left and right. This guy started in the doghouse. He is heating up. He's going to do something wild. I can feel it in the vibes here, babies. I can feel it.
Toasting Trevon.
I can feel it. It's going to happen, Dan.
This is basically turned into a public relations special by the 49ers. That's what our show is now.
I mean, okay, but I truly believe this. It's coming from the heart, from the inner.
All right, how about this? Listen up, you dunder-headed fools. And by the way, I'm not talking to the audience. I don't know if Greg and Mark were, but I'm talking to Greg and Mark. They're the dunder-headed fools.
I was talking to the audience. If you're watching us, what are you doing? You know?
Bengals heartbreak game. It's coming up, but it will not be the end. History is instructive, and I will say that throughout the history of all sports, but including the NFL, a lot of great teams have that horrible playoff loss where you come this close and you learn from it. The Chiefs are a great example. The 2018 Chiefs, that tough loss against the Patriots when they were a top seed. They lose late despite an amazing comeback. That's an example. You want to go back and talk about the Colts of the 2000s. That team had issues with the Patriots, and then they had a chance to beat the Steelers as a 1 seed, and they had that incredible game with Pittsburgh where they nearly win the game in this fumble return. Big Ben saves the day, and then the idiot kicker misses and gives them a crushing loss. They come back the next year, beat the Pats in the playoffs, finally get over the hump, win the Super Bowl. I'm saying Cincinnati, as I predicted earlier, narrow loss, but it's not the end. It's just the beginning.
It's really underrated how much Peyton Manning openly hated Mike Vanderjagt. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
He literally called him an idiot kicker during the Pro Bowl telecast. That was Listen Up, presented by Bose. Love Bose. All right, coming up next, we say goodbye, but not before our weekend vibes. Butkus is back. Oh, you every week viewers, you knew we had to put a bow on this Butkus talk. It's coming up next on the broadcast. All right, welcome back. Before we say goodbye, it's time for Weekend Vibes, and here's one last look at the divisional round slate. My goodness, Maron, look at those games. It's going to be fun, and guess what, Greg? I think any one of those teams can win the Super Bowl.
Love it. best weekend of the year. It really is. I'm excited for it. I'm also excited for the next Texans head coach. I think it's going to be Josh McCown. Just get it over with, Texans.
Seriously.
You clearly want to hire Josh McCown. You're interviewing him again. He's never coached at any level, high school, college, doesn't matter. Brought him back. There's reports that you're almost trying to get another team to interview him just to legitimize it. Just be weird. If you want to be weird and be out on an island, Texans, just do it. At least it'll entertain us.
They brought him in last year for an interview, and it was like, well, I've never coached before. And then a year later, they bring him back in. It's like, hey, have you coached yet? He's like, no, not yet. And they're like, all right.
I think it's going to be the guy. I really do.
Mark, how about you?
Josh McCown, by the way, sneaky hottest coach if he gets hired. I'll put that right here, right now. You know, we brought this story to you a week ago. Dick Butkus, one of the greatest linebackers and terrors in NFL history, just trying to get verified on Twitter, trying to deal with these suits in the Twitter power base, say, can I possibly do it? Well, it's happened. The 3 clowns hosting this show are verified on Twitter. How is Butkus not? Now he finally is. Things have been corrected. You know, he called them Mokes. I think maybe he can side up with them now. They've done this has eased its way into a good place now. Finally,
bring that tweet up again. He's coming after Aaron Rodgers there. That's some big boomer energy.
Well,
I like it.
Well, he's
it's
coming
kind of calling Aaron Rodgers a mope. Yeah, you could kick him off maybe for misinformation. Let's get Rodgers out of there.
I think that would be quite a good story. All right, finally. Yes, I know I picked against the Bengals, but we're all rooting for the Bengals this week. And I just want to flashback to the last divisional round playoff game win for Cincinnati. It was 1988 playoffs. It was Ickey Woods. It was Boomer Esiason, the league MVP. And this is the first playoffs I really remember watching. And I remember being enamored as an 8-year-old boy with those Bengal helmets, the stripes. Sam Weiss, who's taking shots at the Browns. This isn't Cleveland. Ooh. Right, Sessler? Anyway, it's nice to see the Bengals back in a big spot.
Same year as the Fog Bowl. That was a crazy playoff year.
So long ago, the Seahawks were in the AFC playoffs, and they have some 80s vibes. I know other people do the gritty, but nobody does it better than Jamar Chase. Like, my son's trying to imitate Jamar Chase. Like, there's good dance vibes. I don't like the fact that we picked against the Bengals.
No, I feel bad
You did.
about that.
I didn't.
Also, Mark, what was college like in 1988?
I was not there yet, by the way. Not even close.
He's a lot older than us.
Anyway, thank you for watching this show. Enjoy all the football, and we'll see you again next week on the broadcast.